Hello, this is Brian O'Haron. We're going to be talking about the Water and Sewer Commission again tonight because they want to change the charter on us, and I think it's a retrogressive move. I've already done one program on it, but I did invite a couple of honored guests here tonight that know a lot more about it than I do, and they'll be speaking to you about it. The guests tonight are former mayor and Nancy Eisenlohr, and the current chairman of the Water and Sewer Commission, Richard Millett. Now, Nancy Eisenlohr has got a long background in our town. She was in the Board of Selectmen in 1981, the mayor from 1985 to 1987, planning and zoning chairman from 1994, Board of Selectmen 1996-1997, sewer board for 5 years, back when there was a sewer board, vice chairman Water and Sewer Board 1997 to 2005, commissioner on the Winchester Senior Housing Board for 5 years, and a member of the first Inland Wetlands Board, which I was on for 3 years myself, 1978. With her will be Richard Millett, President Water and Sewer Commission Chair, ZBA Chairman for quite a few years, Planning and Zoning Commission, 12 years, 4 years as Chairman. Danbury Quarter Road Cemetery Committee, I was very interested in that when I was studying that for the town historian a few years ago. Danbury Quarter Road Cemetery Committee, Streetlight Committee, Building Committee Senior Center, Selectmen, so we got two ex-selectmen here, and a Cable Advisory Committee. So with that, I'd like to hand you over to Nancy Eisenlohr to start the program. You won't hear much from me until the end of the program.
Hello. When my term for the Water and Sewer Board was up in 2005 in December, I moved from Winstead when we have lived here for 50 years, raised 4 children in Winstead school system and parochial system. I was involved in the political world for 37 years, my husband in the fire department for 31 years. My heart and soul will always be in Winstead. That's why I'm here. My experience was, as Brian had just said, was mayor and board of selectmen and all of that, plus the Democratic Town Committee where I served as treasurer. And then the Water and Sewer Commission as vice chair also. And when I was the mayor with Jay Gazelle, we went around through the Rotary Club at that time in Winchester Grange, the Rotary and various other clubs to talk to people about the $10 million monies grant for the senior center, the sewer company, sorry about that, the sewer. And we had to come up with $10 million. If it didn't pass, another town would have gotten it. So Jay and I went around and spoke to everyone, and it passed overwhelmingly. If I'm not mistaken, there were only 5 votes against and 300 and some odd for. So that was taken care of. It was to repair and update the sewer plant. Then the first payment of the sewer plant from Highland Lake went to the town instead of the sewer board. I never heard a word about it, and they always talk about no commingling of funds. It's been going on for years. As I sat on the Board of Selectmen from 81 to 87, we didn't even have a water budget at that time. And fortunately, one of our former selectmen and also an attorney in the town of Winchester, Judith Dixon, she brought it up, and she got together with Pat Haig and Jay Gazelle, and they put together a water budget, first water budget the board had. Most of us didn't even know that we were part of the water board at that point. So we took care of that, got that done, and we always had that. But we always got a piece of paper saying these were the expenditures and the income, and we could never quite figure it out. It never made sense to me for a long time, unfortunately, that where was the money all going? I mean, if you had a plus or a minus, you never had a plus or a minus in either of those accounts, never. Incoming or outgoing, whichever way. So that took a while, but then eventually I finished up in that board, and I went to the Board of Selectmen again in 1996 to fill an unexpired term. And I brought it up at that time about the water board. I felt that the water board should get together with the sewer board, which I was already sitting on the sewer board. And I just felt it was necessary. So it went out to a referendum. There were 4 issues on that referendum, and one of them was the water to join the sewer board. That's the only one that passed. The other 3 failed. So at that point, they picked the people for the water and sewer board, and the sewer board members were appointed to that board, one of which was me. And I sat there for, I don't know, till I retired or left in 2005. But all this time in those past years, they were commingling funds, and no one ever said a word about it. No one. And that's unfortunate. But in any case, now the water and sewer is the best board in the town of Winchester. The best run, the best organized, the best running. And we had this, I have this paperwork that Steve Vale gave me, who was a member of the Water and Sewer Board, and it was dated from July 1st of 2012 to October 18th of 2012. And it showed that the Water and Sewer Board had $1,788,000 in that account, which we had always tried to build up to make sure that we always had some cash on hand, because through the years I sat there, if they didn't have a pump, it would come before the Board of Selectmen and we'd have to vote for money to go at that time to fund it. Well, in this sewer and water board, there are always something, a backup. There's a backup pump, there's backup, whatever they needed. They were always in the spot where they had the money for it and to make any repairs necessary to anything that broke down. We also made sure that in the water company, the last Board of Selectmen did this, the Board of Selectmen from 96 to 97 made sure that a Class 4 person was in charge of that. And also the sewer plant has also a Class 4 person running that, which is the highest position to have to run those kind of organizations. And the first payment, oh, I think I already said that. For the sewer lake funds, $500,000 came in. Like I said, nothing went to the sewer board. But once we were sat on the water board, we also put together to stop the monies from employees who were out plowing our roads in the wintertime. That was not a water function. That belonged to the town. That was a town function. So in any case, that's what we did. Now we pay many, as Dick will mention to you, we pay other employees for doing things which we've paid always, but we would be paying for plowing the town roads plus other items. So we stopped that. When former Margaret Johnson was here, she had applied for $1 million grant, which the town did receive. $500,000 of it went to the water company to replace aging piping, which it did. The other $500,000 went to the town side of the budget. And in the late 1990s, we put in, I told you that. Also in the sewer plant, the water commission always followed the rules, and no one from the town manager, selectmen, ever told us about any problem with the audit. We had no idea that we were losing money. We trusted Henry the same as the Board of Selectmen and every other department in town did. Unfortunately, it's backfired on the water and sewer, because bottom line is they got blamed for everything, and that was very unfortunate, and it was totally unnecessary that that would happen to the Water and Sewer Commission. And I really felt bad. I wasn't there at the time, but I really take it personally, and I really think they deserve an apology for all this and talking about mismanaging money. We never mismanaged a penny on that board. There were a couple of people on there that used to rub the head off every nickel before it was spent. And I just think it's very unfortunate the Board of Selectmen would point the finger at them. And at this time, I will introduce you to my sidekick here. I'm a Democrat, longtime Democrat, but this man here is a Republican, and we have worked together for many years on a couple of different boards together. Always managed to get along. We haven't killed each other yet. We've gotten along well, and whatever we did for the best of this community. Richard Nollet.
Hi. In the later years of my life, I have, in past time, I was called Dick, but now I'm Richard.
I'm sorry about that.
And the reason we're doing this and is that we took a rap, and the water board, the sewer board, and myself personally have been berated because some selectmen have decided that I shouldn't be here anymore. And they're doing their best, and in some cases like with the ZBA, they've done a very good job because I'm no longer sitting on that board. But these selectmen have taken on, and their goal in life is to get me off the board, and they're willing to do anything to do that. As a matter of fact, they're willing to eliminate the Water and Sewer Board, which I think is very similar to throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because the Water and Sewer Board, even if I'm not on it, is the best functioning board in town. It does its job. It does it without any fanfare. It does it so that if we had believed the finance director, we had money enough to function and not bother or borrow any money from the town. And as things get older, I can't read and talk to you at the same time. So just a short history. The Water and Sewer Combined Commission was formed in the late 90s. But starting about a year ago, the selectmen found 4 things that they thought were wrong with the board, with the Water and Sewer Board, and specifically myself. There was one of the reasons they said I shouldn't be sitting anymore was that there was a illegal sewer connection allowed by the Water and Sewer Board. Well, the Water and Sewer Board doesn't approve sewer connections. They're approved by the Director of Public Works. This, I don't know if you can read it, is part of the permit that goes with the water and sewer, or it goes with a sewer connection, and it's signed by Jim Rotundo. Jim doesn't work here anymore. He's moved on to New Milford, but it wasn't the goal of the Water and Sewer Board to take over the day-to-day operation. So that just shows you that what they were talking about is not true. Jim Rotundo did bring that sewer connection to the commission. The commission made a motion that said, Jim, whatever you want to do, you do. And the connection was completed, and everybody is happy. And the person who was the beneficiary of that sewer connection was able to sell his house and move on. Without it, there would have been a long and involved fight. So, another issue that we were talking about was that the Water and Sewer Commission pays, in its budget, they pay for the 10 people that are working at the water and sewer plant. We also pay, and those people run the plant. So, I mean, they should be on the water and sewer budget, and they should get paid out of the water and sewer budget. There are another 10 people that we employ part-time, and they work at Town Hall. They get a certain percentage of their salary from the water and sewer budget. People may or may not know this. It's not something that we've tried to hide, but people should know that part of their water and sewer fees are going to pay Town Hall people. These people function and do things for the water and sewer department. They collect our taxes, they collect our, our bills, they pay our bills. They do maintain our finance system. They take care of our payroll. Even our former finance director was being paid by the Water and Sewer Commission. But those, we had discussed over the years of trying to separate water and sewer functions from the town, and this was in the beginning. We want to be separate, but we realized that if we did not pay the town for the people that were working for the water and sewer department, that was going to be an increase to the town of about $200,000. And that was in the time period that they couldn't pass a budget. So if we took away $200,000, it wouldn't help them at all. So we decided not to do that. But in respect, we have been partially subsidizing the town. But let's see here. I'll go on. I've talked past my notes. And as Nancy has said, we're not the only ones who mismanaged our money. We didn't mismanage it. We just didn't. Somebody just took it away from us. And it's interesting that the selectmen are criticizing us for not watching our money, but maybe they should be criticized because we were taking their money. And if you're not watching ours, then you should be watching your own. With this charter change, the Board of Selectmen will have complete control of the water and sewer money. The ability, one of the reasons why they created the Water and Sewer Commission was so that they wouldn't, the people at Town Hall wouldn't be commingling their funds. This is very definitely going to happen if you eliminate the Water and Sewer Commission. The only reason it doesn't happen now is, first of all, we don't have any money, and second of all, we're there to watch what goes on. Not that the present present finance director would do that, but we don't know what's going to happen down the road. Let's see. There has been, over the more recent, since this all started a year ago, it has been very definitely, this is a political vendetta by some of the selectmen. And I'll go back again and I'll say it again, is that the Water and Sewer Commission should exist even if I'm not on it. I want to be on it, I like the work, but for some reason certain selectmen have said I shouldn't be there. I think if this continues to go through, then the selectmen have acted in a non-professional way and hurt my family immensely, and myself too. Looks like I'm running short. Nancy, help me out here.
Okay, I will. I'd like to talk a little bit about the Board of Selectmen. I sometimes think they have forgotten they are the Board of Finance. Mm-hmm. And that's not working out very well. I don't think they're doing a good job. I have never seen the town in such a mess in my life. And you and I have both been here. You've been here forever, and I've been here for a good 50 years. And I just can't figure out what's going on, why those people cannot get along. And one of the things we did when I was board, we used to have, my first board I was on in 1981, we hired Henry Centrella. That board did. And what happened, one of the things he was told, because we had a finance person on the board, Jim O'Meara, a Republican, and he made sure that Henry every year would have to take 2 weeks vacation, could not at all come into the town hall during that time. He'd have to stay away, and somebody else would take his job. And there were a couple different people that filled in doing it for him while he was gone. And that seemed to be a fine thing to do. I don't know where that got lost, but I know for as long as I was in that office at that time, we never had that problem. He had to take the 2 weeks off, like it or not. And that seemed fine. But I don't know what happened now. I've been told he comes, Henry was coming in nights. He was having people bring money to his house. To me, that's totally unheard of. If the people at the town hall can't deposit the money, or someone there qualified cannot deposit money, that's a serious problem. Why bring it to his home? Made no sense to me. And I really think the board should pay a lot more attention to the finances rather than pointing the finger constantly at the Water and Sewer Board and trying to take it back. So then they would have an exorbitant amount of money to use as they saw fit, which is not what you're supposed to do. No commingling of funds. I have heard many, many people say that over the years. And over the years it has happened. Off and on it has happened. And I don't know what else to tell you about that. But I highly recommend when you go to vote on November 5th, I believe it is, November 5th, I suggest you definitely vote no. It's that important. It's important to you people who don't go out to vote to get yourselves out to vote and make sure that you pay attention to what you're doing, because it's going to affect your pockets. Your pockets. Do you think you're paying a lot now? Look at what you're going to be paying in the future if you don't get out and vote this way. The Water and Sewer Board has been very fiscally conservative, and the Board of Selectmen should be as conservative, but they haven't been. They did nothing at all when Henry was first arrested. Did they do anything? Did they put out a supplemental tax? Did they tell people that they'd send them a bill of tax? Nothing. And I can't believe that they just sat on their hands and didn't handle this properly. And I have very bad feeling about that they should have done it regardless. And I don't know what else to say about it, but you should know that what's going on with some of these people on the board, and I have to bring up something on a personal nature. Tony Canavo, he was taken off, removed as chairman of the Planning and Zoning Board by a board of the selectmen. And of course they all voted for it, but that was a very bad move. Tony has been a hard worker in this community for a number of years, many, many years. He was born here, raised here, ran a business here, and offered anyone that needed help, he would be there for them. And he was just tossed off that board, no respect, no nothing. And I think that was highly, highly bad for this, actually, I shouldn't mention any names. I won't mention any names. But it was a Democratic board, and I really feel bad about that. And I think that should be straightened out. A little late now, but unfortunately. But I think that's it for me. You got anything else to say?
Well, I think one thing is the most important thing about this, our stumbling back and forth between our increasing inability to talk.
That's right.
Is that the whole goal of this is to get people to vote. They vote no on the charter question, and to make sure that they understand that it's very, very important that this board continue. Whether it continue in the same people, that can be worked out after the election. But one of the things, this board is a non-political board that just does its job. I mean, we had a meeting last night with the finance director and the director of public works. We were there for an hour and a half. We accomplished an enormous amount of work in that time. The finance director was very helpful. She was able to tell us in reality that we're now that there's not the third party dipping into our pocket, we're getting back on our feet. We're making almost making enough money to make our payments. By next year we'll be able to do that, and it's a tribute to all the people that work at Water and Sewer. They've been working without parts, without this, without that, and they've been able to save the money necessary and keep our cash flow somewhat on the right side. And it's all up to it's all them. I mean, I don't do any of that. I just say, we don't have any money, and they figure out ways to do things that they don't have to spend the money, but they're able to get the job done, and that's the important part. Those are the people that do the job and are the important part. The people on the board, I mean, if you let the selectmen take it over again, then they will strip the viability right out of the Water and Sewer Company. So I would hope that you would vote no on the charter change, so that it will continue on like it is, and we will have a viable water and sewer department.
Yeah, I'll make a couple comments here at the end because the program's coming to an end now. One is, I forgot to say it on my last program, but having a water sewer commission that appointed for many years, well, how long is the term on your commission?
5 years.
5 years. Each person that gets appointed is on for 5 years, and that gives stability to that commission. And but the selectmen, they're turned over every 2 years, and often they turn from one philosophy to the opposite philosophy and then back again. So I really think it's important for the check and balance. I think these people have done a wonderful job and have been one of the best commissions I've seen in this town. And yourself, Richard, as well. Thank you for all your years in there. And I know your father before you, and now your son after you. And I worked with him on the Inland Wetland Commission until my term was up for 3 years. So I'm hoping that people will understand this. It's very important for the town, and there's no sense giving this back to people who mismanaged it in the past and who probably won't even be there in 2 years, and we'll lose our continuity. I don't think too many people can complain that they don't get water and sewer every day, and that it works pretty well. We do have problems from time to time, but that's normal. So let's get out and vote. And I would say, and I know a lot of people want you to do this, probably every water and sewer user, they don't want to be paying the bills for other people's mismanagement, so you should vote no. Get out and vote no. Tell all your relatives, all your friends, all your neighbors, anybody you can. Get on the internet and talk to people. But vote no on the charter change on November 5th. There's a little box there, vote yes or no. You vote no, and I think you'll all be happy that you did so, because we don't need any more of this turmoil that the selectmen, they can't even manage their own shop. They're in deep trouble, and they need all their time to do their own thing. With that, I'll say thank you very much for watching tonight.